My name is Majida, and I'm the clinical nutritionist at Zarity. And here I take care of the consultations and the health programs.
My name is Abhimanyu Chauhan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO at Zarity. And today I'm in conversation with Majida Khan. We're discussing everything about salt and its health impact or benefits.
We need to talk about an extremely important mineral called iodine, right? Now, most of us don't realize how important iodine is. It is so important that the government had to step in and make this fortification of salts mandatory with iodine, right? The major reason behind it is our Indian soil lacks this mineral. So obviously, the food that comes from it will also have deficiency of this mineral. So we need an external source to sort of supplement this mineral for us. And if there is a deficiency of this mineral in your body, it can lead to lower levels of thyroid hormones, which will eventually lead to a condition called hypothyroidism, which is very common amongst a lot of us right now. And when this happens, then you'll start feeling extreme tiredness, depression, and even weight gain. So that is why iodine is very important, and you are recommended to get iodized salt. And apart from low levels of thyroid, if you have iodine deficiency during pregnancy, then that can lead to extremely serious consequences. Like it can have an impact on the baby. It can come with mental retardation or brain damage. So you see, these consequences are quite severe for us to ignore the fact that we need to have iodine in our diet.
So, but then you mentioned that the white salt has fortification in it. Nowadays, like a lot of salt is types of salt are available, which have iodine, and then they have added other minerals in it as well, right? So, how do I go about choosing if I want to fill in on sodium and not be short on iodine as well? Which is the right salt I should go by? Is it pink salt? Is it white salt? Do I look for a specific brand or offering that there is out there?
Right. So apart from iodine, what our population lacks is also iron, which is again very important mineral. So we have double fortified salt, which is basically fortified with iodine and iron. So you have both the minerals in one packet. That will be our preference, that you go for a double fortified salt so that you can meet both the requirements of both these minerals. After that, you can go, if you don't like it or you want something new, you want to try something new, you go with iodized salt. But these are the only two things that I would prefer. Apart from this, it's up to you. Whatever you'd like in terms of taste or, how fancy it looks, it's all up to you.
Okay, so I could go by the pink salt as well, and it will give me that salty taste. But I need to be aware that whatever minerals or unrefined benefits that it speaks of is too little, so it might not add too much into my daily requirements, and so it's counterintuitive. So, like I can choose any salt, but I need to choose something with iodine and iron in it, right? So, so something else about low sodium salt. I just wanted to understand this, that when I buy low sodium salt from the market, it is saying low sodium, and you speak that sodium is very important for me in my for my health, right? So when does somebody go for a low sodium salt? Does a normal person go for it, or like I heard that if you have hypertension, then you should prefer a low sodium? What's going on there?
Okay. That's a very good question, because a lot of us blindly go for low sodium salts, right? Just because of the marketing gimmick. So when we talk about low sodium salts, low sodium is mandatory, like you said, for people who have high blood pressure and hypertension. For them, the requirement of sodium is quite low. Even though the packets state that there is no difference in salt, although the sodium is low, we need to understand that it is this sodium that gives it the salty taste. So if the WHO recommends 1 teaspoon of salt and you add 1 teaspoon, but then you don't feel that taste, you will definitely keep adding more. Yes, you don't find that namak in your food. So eventually you'll reach out to more salt on the dining table, or you'll ask somebody to get more salt because you are lacking that flavor in food. This becomes very risky. So to avoid this, it is important that we stick to how much we are supposed to take based on these guidelines. So the WHO recommends 5 grams, which is a little less than 1 teaspoon of salt.
In an entire day?
In an entire day. That does not mean that you take the spoon and, it has a heap of salt on it. That's not what it means. You take the salt, you level the spoon, and you consume a little less than 1 teaspoon of it the entire day.
Okay, so here is where it gets interesting for me. If I'm buying low sodium and I have hypertension, I need this 1 teaspoon during my day. And I'm buying it because I need salt in my diet. Right? But it is not salty enough. So then what am I doing buying a low sodium salt? Or
So
do you
that's when we
recommend that I just take half a teaspoon of the regular salt? Isn't that the same thing?
Yes, it's the same thing. So we'll have to understand this in a little more depth. So when we talk about 2000 mg of sodium, which is 5 grams of salt, is for the normal population. It's for the regular people. When we talk about hypertension, it falls down to 1500 mg, which will be sort of 3 to 4 grams, which is again lesser than 3/4 of a teaspoon. Coming to the most important question, कि अगर नमक नहीं है, तो how am I going to enjoy my food? Right? I think that's the burning question that we should be addressing first.
Yeah.
So when we talk about that, it is going to be a little difficult and challenging in the beginning to let go of an important flavor. But you can use alternatives like lemon juice, or pepper, or garlic, or ginger, and make flavor out of these ingredients. Right?
Okay.
Initially, it is going to be difficult. It's going to be like the no sugar diet that we follow. The other day, I was talking to somebody and they told me I followed a no sugar diet and I fell into depression. So
really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, because your body is so used to the extra sugar and salt that at a point you feel that you cannot live without these things, when in fact you should, right? So it is going to be a little challenging in the beginning, but your taste buds will eventually get used to the low salt in your diet. And after that, if you have something really salty, then it's going to like trouble you. It's going to give you like an icky feeling that I'm having a lot of salt in my diet. So that's the point where we need to aim to get to.
So this is one more thing I've heard. Okay, a lot of people will read articles and tell me that there's rock salt or black salt. It's natural and it has medicinal properties. So what is it, a myth, or what do you think about that?
I have come across certain studies that do mention how important black salt and rock salt is in terms of the medicinal properties that they have. But again, most of these studies are inconclusive, right? And black salt is also recommended for those who have hypertension because it has lesser sodium than the regular table salt. But again, the question about iodine rises because it is not mandatory to fortify to fortify these salts with iodine. So if you opt for black salt, you must remember that you should be including iodine-rich sources, which is quite difficult to get from the regular foods that we eat, right? So yeah, that's where the question arises.
Okay. Yeah. So I just want to quickly summarize this talk that we had. So one of the things I am going to take away from this is that table salt or white salt is not a villain, right? So if I want to buy table salt or white salt, the best salt to opt for is fortified, something with iron and that is what I go for, iodine and iron, right? Could you correct me if I'm wrong? Okay. The second thing the second thing I'm taking away is that pink salt is not extremely great, right? It's not bad, but it's not extremely great. I should not focus on getting extra minerals out of my pink salt. So that's the second thing, right, that I'm getting at. So the third thing that I'm taking away is that I need to focus on the amount of sodium and iodine I'm getting in a day, for example, and more sodium than iodine I need to focus on. So if I opt for a low sodium salt, I should do so if I have hypertension and if my doctor or nutritionist has told me to do so, or I could do that otherwise as well. The other option for me is that like consume less of the regular salt because I'm anyways looking for that salty flavor in my diet. So is there anything else that you would like to add to this?
I want to give you an interesting stat. So did you know that an average Indian consumes about 11 grams of salt when in fact they should be consuming only 5 grams?
Don't tell me it's only in the butter that I'm eating. In the bread and butter.
No.
So I'm sure.
So I want to ask you this question.
Yeah.
What do you think is adding to this extra salt in our diet?
And I think extra salt is coming from a lot of namkeens that we eat. And it's crazy amount of salt. No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's the salt that we add in our food, which is the major contributing factor to the extra sodium in your diet.
So I'm anyways consuming more salt in my food, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And that's
Because the
almost 3
processed
times.
food that exactly.
Okay, that's
So it's
something to
not the
take away from.
namkeens,
Yeah,
it's not the achar,
no.
it's not the papad, it's the salt that you add in your food to increase the flavor that is contributing to the most of your sodium intake.
Okay, I need to work on that then. So I need to start tapering it down. That's another takeaway that I have today then.
Yes. I think that's one of
Yeah.
the takeaways that most of us have today. That we need to restrict on our sodium, the salt that we add in our food.
All right, I think I have my part for this part, and I would love to talk about the next topic in the next video that we do. And let me conclude this here, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you.